Meal prep is something I've been meaning to do for so long. You've also asked for it for ages and I just never gotten around to doing it, and I don't know why, and I do apologize for that, but we're gonna start this one off with a delicious honey chicken. This one makes 5 1-litre containers. They can be put in the fridge or in the freezer depending on what you wanna do with it, but I'll leave all of those details in the description below, so let's get straight into this video. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, as per usual, let's start by prepping our ingredients, with the first one being 4 cloves of freshly peeled garlic that can be ran across a fine microplane or box grater, which is going to create a nice smooth paste, extracting more of the allicin compound, which is what gives garlic its strong flavour and aroma. 2 medium-sized heads of broccoli is also needed and can be substituted for a wide range of your favourite vegetables. If you're using broccoli, stand the stalks upwards and trim around them to remove the florets, trimming any large ones, making sure that they're all the same size. Then with the stalks themselves, let's slice off both ends and cut around the stem, removing the outer layer, which can be bitter, and save all of those scraps for compost if you have one. With the remaining stalk, this contains lots of nutrients and has a really nice sweet flavour, so let's then trim this up, making sure that they're all the same size for even cooking times. Next is an optional ingredient, which is 1 spring onion or scallion, which I had left over in the fridge. We are going to use the green stem, so save the root end for another recipe or stock. And with the green stem, this can be thinly sliced on an angle, or straight if you prefer, and this is going to be used as a garnish. And like I said, this is optional. I'm only using it so it doesn't go to waste, so don't go out and buy a whole bunch just for 1 onion, unless of course you use them regularly. With that out of the way, we're then going to need 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds of boneless and skinless chicken thigh, which can be slapped onto a clean chopping board and trimmed into 5 or 6 diced pieces depending on size, trying to be as consistent as possible so that it all cooks at the same time, leaving us with all of this that can then be transferred to a mixing bowl, along with 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of onion powder for a pungent, sweet, concentrated flavour, the minced garlic that we did before, sea salt flakes to taste, with myself using 1 teaspoon or 5 grams worth, and of course cracked black pepper, which I'm going to give 20 cracks worth. Get your clean hands in there, massaging those thighs nice and deep like, just until everything is evenly distributed and well coated, mainly concentrating on the garlic as it can clump up, then pop this out of the way for the time being. Now in another mixing bowl, to create our delicious sauce, add in 70 grams or 2.4 ounces of honey, which obviously creates sweetness but also helps it glaze the chicken really well. 50 grams or 1.7 ounces of Sriracha Sauce to create a nice little tang, which actually gets neutralized by the honey, so it's not overly spicy at all. 30 grams or 1.06 ounces of apple cider vinegar to give us a sweet acidic touch. 10 grams or 0.3 ounces of sesame oil for a nice nutty flavor, and a pinch of sea salt flakes. Give this all a mix with a whisk just until smooth and combined, popping it aside, and if you don't like sriracha, it can be substituted with Tabasco, gochujang, peri peri, sambal oelek, or left out completely, but I do recommend using at least one of those sauces at the very least. As for cooking, place a saucepan over a high heat and add in 350 grams or 12.3 ounces of washed basmati rice, along with 700 milliliters or 700 grams of cold water and a small pinch of sea salt flakes. Give it a quick mix through to break up any clumps and bring it to a boil. Once boiling, place on a lid or foil if you don't have one, reduce the heat to low, and cook this for 14 minutes undisturbed. In the meantime, place a large pan over medium-high heat, add in 1 tablespoon or 20 milliliters of peanut oil, allowing it to get hot, add in the seasoned diced chicken thigh, scraping in anything that may be stuck in the bowl, also spreading it out, and whilst moving it around occasionally, let's sear this for 10 minutes, which will allow it to create and obtain a nice golden colour, of course cooking it through and still be nice and juicy in the centre, and nothing is worse than dry, crusty chicken. After 10 minutes, our chicken is becoming nicely golden and has released quite a lot of moisture, creating flavour in the pan. Let's then add in the honey sauce, scraping it all in there to avoid waste, and yes, I did add it all in before anyone says anything. Then give this all a really good mix through, allowing those flavours to become friends, and bring the sauce to a boil and cook for 1 minute at a boil. You may also be thinking that your sauce doesn't look like it's sticking to the chicken, but once it starts to boil, the natural sugars in the honey will start to slightly caramelise, which will then become nice and sticky. Alright, so this is now at a boil and has been cooking for 1 minute, and the sauce has thickened up, which is what I was talking about just before. Reduce the heat to low, and this is optional, but I'm adding in a light sprinkle of both black and white sesame seeds. You really don't have to do this, but they are high in protein, fiber, magnesium, copper, and zinc, and they also do look quite nice through the chicken and sauce. All we have to do with this now is mix them through, turn this off the heat, and remove it from the stovetop. At this stage, the rice timer would have just gone off, so turn this off the heat and let it sit for a final 4 minutes with the lid still on, again undisturbed. Then carefully remove the lid, give it a quick fluff up with a fork or spatula, and remove it from the stovetop. Last but not least, place another pan over medium-high heat, add in half a tablespoon or 10 milliliters of peanut oil, allowing it to get hot, then slide in the broccoli florets and stems, along with a small pinch of sea salt flakes and 10 cracks of black pepper, and saute whilst moving it around regularly for about 5 to 6 minutes, just until it starts to slightly soften and obtain a nice golden crust, which creates the most beautiful flavour and aroma. Also, depending on the type of pan and power of your stovetop, you may need to lower the heat, so just keep an eye out for that as a precaution. Anyway, once that's done and this is nicely softened with a slight bite and golden in colour, remove it from the stovetop. As for portioning, you really can do it however you'd like, but traditionally it's done in sections depending on which containers you're using. I'm going with rice on one end, sauteed broccoli in the middle, and the delicious chicken on the opposite side. Make sure to add over any remaining sauce, garnish with the spring onions or scallions if you're using them, and you can also sprinkle over a few more sesame seeds too if you'd like, and did you really meal prep if you didn't Instagram it. With storing, once they're slightly cooled, the lids can be put on nice and tight, and you can also pop the little vent in the lid to prevent any condensation, and once that's done, these will last up to 5 days in the fridge and 4 months in the freezer, so you can have a different option throughout the week if you'd like to change it up. For reheating, place them in the microwave in bursts until hot. It is also recommended to thaw them in the fridge overnight, but once that's all done, we're now ready for the busy week ahead, and we can then dig in.